Toledo, Spain, the winter of 1577. There was a room in a monastery here that was never meant to hold a person. It's small, barely 6 feet by 10. It had been a closet, a place to store things, and it still feels like one, except that now there is a man locked inside it. He is not a prisoner of any king. He has broken no law. The men who shut him in this dark are his own brothers, monks like him. And the door will not open again for 9 months. We don't know his name yet. Let's keep it that way for a while. For now, he is only a stranger in the dark, and the dark is nearly complete. There is one opening, if you can call it that, a slit high in the wall, no wider than a hand, that lets in a single blade of afternoon light and nothing the rest of the day. He is cold. He is hungry. His back is raw from the lash. And this is where the story has to begin, because what this stranger does in this room will give a name to one of the hardest passages a human soul can walk. But not yet. First, the dark. Picture the hours in there. No candle, no book he can read, no voice but his own. The stone sweats in winter and bakes in summer. Time stops meaning anything, and somewhere in those months, the last thing you'd expect begins to happen. He starts to compose. Not on paper, he has almost none. In his memory, line by line, in the black, he builds poems and holds them there, the way you'd cup a small flame against the wind. Now the name. He was a friar of the reforming Carmelites, a man who stood barely 5 feet tall and had spent his life trying to call his order back to a simpler, quieter devotion. For that, the brothers who opposed the reform seized him and hid him here. John. Later, the world would call him John of the Cross. And here is what he carried out of that cell. Not bitterness. Not a story of cruelty survived. Something stranger and quieter. A map of the soul's darkest stretch, drawn from the inside. He had gone into that room already a man of deep prayer. A man used to feeling God near, the way you feel warmth from a fire in the next room. And in the dark, that feeling left him. The prayers went dry. The comfort vanished. What remained was not doubt, exactly. It was worse. The sense of having been set down and walked away from. Left. No warmth. No answer. No sign that anyone was listening at all. Most of us know a smaller version of this. The season when the things that once fed you go tasteless. When faith, or love, or meaning, whatever held you up, seems to withdraw and leave you standing in a gray room, going through the motions, wondering what you did wrong. John's radical claim was this: you did nothing wrong. The darkness is not the absence of the light. It is the light. Too near and too pure to feel like anything but night. Sit with that a moment, because it inverts everything. He said the soul, in its early life, leans on the feelings of God, the sweetness, the comfort, the sense of progress. And those are real gifts, but they are still, in the end, about us. About what we get, what we feel, how well we think we're doing. And a love that stops there can never grow up. So at a certain point, he said, the gifts are taken away, not to punish the soul, to wean it, to purify it of its need for the reward, until what is left is a love that wants God, and not merely the warm sensation of God. That stripping is the dark night. Painful precisely because it is intimate. It reaches into the deepest, most religious part of a person and empties even that. And the soul, in the middle of it, cannot tell the difference between being purified and being abandoned. It only knows the dark. He even mapped it with a poet's patience. There is a first night, he said, a night of the senses, where the easy sweetness of the beginning falls away. And then, for some, a deeper one. A night of the spirit, where even our ideas of God go dark. The certainties, the mental furniture we had quietly mistaken for him. Each night strips a layer we thought was the floor and turns out was only a shelf. And underneath, further down than we knew we could fall, more room. And, he insisted, still being held. He did not walk into that dark alone either. Years before, an older nun had drawn him into her reform. A formidable woman who knew these depths from the inside and became his friend and his guide. Teresa of Avila. The towering nun and the tiny friar mapping the same inner country from opposite doors. When prayer becomes a castle you travel inward through, room by room, this is the stretch of the road where the lamps go out. There is a reason his map still matters, maybe more now than when he drew it. Ours is an age with almost no patience for the gray season. The moment the light withdraws, we reach for something to fill the space. A screen, a distraction, a way to feel the warmth again as quickly as we can. John would not scold anyone for that, but he would ask a quiet question. What if some of the darkness you keep fleeing was trying to carry you somewhere? What if the thing you've been treating as a malfunction is, sometimes, the deepest work being done? There is a mercy hidden in his account too, and it's easy to miss. If the darkness is the light, then it is not a wall. It is a passage. You are not lost in it. You are being led through it, blind, by a hand you can no longer feel. The night has a far side. He knew because he found it. The traditional account says that after 9 months, he worked the screws loose from the lock of his door, tore his blankets into a rope, and lowered himself down the monastery wall into the night, carrying nothing but the poems he had built in the dark. Read that image slowly. A man climbs down out of his prison in the dark, and the darkness is no longer the enemy. It's the cover. The very thing that had held him is now the thing that hides his escape. The night that nearly broke him becomes the night that frees him. And the poems he carried out are still read, 5 centuries later, by people who have never seen a monastery and never will, but who know exactly the room he is describing. Because the cell was Toledo, and the cell was also everywhere. Any gray season when the light withdraws and will not tell you why. So let's return to that room, and let him have the last word. Not mine, his. The lines he built in the black, when he had no paper and no proof that any of it was true. He wrote, "On a dark night, kindled in love with yearnings, I went out unseen, my house being now all stilled. Then the light, then silence. Keep seeking."